Okay, and we're live. Okay, welcome to this broadcast. And I'm your host, Dame Lillian Walker, and my co-host here is Carol Moulton. Got to make one little adjustment here. We are effectively yin and yanging this. We both got the memo. I chose red, she chose blue. We are
And
definitely,
you're in where it's warmer, and I'm looking. It's colder here.
yes, I believe you. It's warm enough where I can wear,
That's fabulous.
I might have to put a jacket on to go outside, but definitely I can wear short
Oh
sleeve.
my.
And it's bright and sunny. It stopped raining because it was raining last night. It was pouring last night, and this morning it was bright and sunny again. I was like, we get both and
Yeah,
that's always exciting.
definitely.
So I'm going to share my screen. I want to share what some of the, some people ask, what are some of the, things that you can expect that you might feel when you first get started on the patches. So I wanted to share. Oh, let's see. I had this queued up before. Hopefully it'll load so that you can see. The screen sharing is being a little finicky right now, so let's try this again. Should just pop right up, but okay, there we go. So this is what I wanted to share. So 82% of people feel something in the first day, like Carol. Carol felt something the very first day, in the first 10 minutes, in fact, she felt something. So 82% of them feel something in the first day. Others in the first week and the first month of wearing the patches. 18% of the people do not feel like an actual something. For example, some people, I've had the different ways that people have described what they feel when I first put the patches on them. So, for example, when I was in Aruba, I patched a friend of mine, Lynn, and she has a titanium rod in her back as well as her right leg, which has given her a great deal of pain because she broke her back and shattered her right leg into thousands of pieces. Originally, they told her they were going to have to amputate it. And luckily, they didn't amputate it because she said, no, put it back together to the best of your abilities, but you are not going to amputate my leg. Long story short, when I put the patches on her, she immediately felt coolness. She said, oh, she goes, ooh, she goes, wow, the patches can work that fast. She goes, I immediately feel cool down my back and down my leg. And I said, wow, you feel cool. She goes, yeah, it's a very pleasant, like relieving coolness that I feel in my back and in my leg. I said, that's exactly what you're supposed to feel. Some people feel warmth, and they describe it not that it's not a warm, not like warm when it's out environmentally warm, but they usually say that it's kind of like a warm, glowing. Sometimes they use the word radiating. Not a hot flash, because women who have had hot flashes tell me this, like, this is not like a hot flash. This is just kind of like a warm salve that's inside your body, and it's just like a very pleasant warmth that radiates. Some people feel electricity. Some people feel vibration. I had one lady who described it, which I'm like, oh, I want to feel that. I haven't felt that to this day. I probably never will. Or who knows, maybe I will in the future. But the moment I put the patch on her governing vessel 14, she said, whoa. She goes, are you supposed to feel? She goes, I feel like this low wave vibrational hum that's going like a wave down my spine to my feet and back up again. She goes, very unusual feeling. It's very pleasant, but it's a very unusual feeling. And I like it, but is that what you're supposed to feel? I said, you feel that? And she was 85, I believe. And she said, yeah. She goes, how long is it gonna last? I go, I have no idea how long it's gonna last, but that's what your body is supposed to feel. And that lady was recovering from shingles and stage 1 breast cancer. And she had still, when I patched her, she still had open sores on the back of her back next to her spine, and the different, you have clusters of nerves that are throughout your body. And so the shingles attack those clusters. And so for her, she literally had several open sores on the back, which were causing her a great deal of pain. and she had immediate reduction, like 50% reduction in pain. She was on gabapentin, which shortly thereafter she was able to discontinue because she no longer needed it. So everybody feels something different. Some people don't feel any. I didn't feel an earthquake. I didn't feel the heavens part or anything when I was on. As sensitive as I am to energy, I didn't. But I did, boy, I got to tell you that in that between the third and fourth week, my memory, I realized, holy cow, like there were things that I knew that I needed to learn, to memorize, so I could recite them verbatim. One time reading, and it was, oh my gosh, that was effortless. I didn't even have to learn it. I didn't have to memorize it. I didn't have to efforts to recall it. It was just there after reading it once, which was drastically different than before. So everybody is going to feel something different. So I'm going to read the rest of this so that you guys have a sense. And like I said, 18% of you won't feel anything. Like I didn't feel anything the first day. I noticed that I slept better in the first 24 hours. Most people do. So so somebody says here, okay, I say you don't feel anything and you perceive or think that nothing is happening, or is it? So why keep doing something? Because I had somebody who actually asked this, why keep doing something without results? So because you asked, and oh, by the way, that's a great question. Because you asked, I'm going to answer this. And this is what I responded to this particular group that I have on Telegram. I said here, because without the patches, things will surely get infinitely worse. Either way, you're going to pay a price, as I've said before. So things without the patches will get infinitely worse because you only have whatever remaining number of stem cells you have. You're not signaling additional remodeling crews to do anything inside and outside of your body. So the only thing is that things are going to get infinitely worse, and you're going to have to pay more in time, money, and resources for medical intervention that oftentimes create bigger problems, bigger symptoms than the original problems that you had, and then you decline even quicker. So as you're aware, with the patches, you have improvement, even if you can't tell from the outside of the body. Yes, you finally turned the boat around to things getting infinitely better. Realize and recognize if you don't feel anything when you like, for example, when you discover your first gray hair, it's a shock to all of us. you find your first gray hair and you're like, I'm only in my late 20s. I'm, in my early 30s. How is this possible? I have a gray hair. It happens. I did not feel anything, but I noticed it in the mirror, or in my case, I didn't notice it in the mirror. My best friend's husband, Wally, said, "Hey, Lillian," he goes, "looks like it's time for a bottle of Claro." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Looks like it's time for a bottle of Claro." I'm like, "Why are you saying that?" He goes, "At first I thought," he goes, "your hair's always been so shiny. I thought it was just the light reflecting off your hair. I took a closer look. It's gray hair." He goes, "Sister, you need a bottle of Clairol."
How did he even know to say Clairol?
Well, he owns a supermarket, so he stopped, so he buys, for some reason, I guess maybe that they pay him the biggest rebates. He said Clairol. So I thought, oh my God. So then I remember I could not get to the bathroom fast enough as soon as he said that. I was in my 30s. And I was like 33, 34. And I ran to the bathroom and I looked and I'm like, oh, and I have more than one. It's not just one gray hair. I'm like, how did I miss that? I was horrified. I'm like, not me. Oh no. But I didn't, if he hadn't pointed it out,
I wouldn't felt it.
I don't know how long it would have been before I finally would have recognized it. But obviously something biochemically changed. Obviously there was oxidative stress because you can't have a lack of melatonin in your hair shaft without oxidative stress, so, and without some sort of, damage in the follicles of your hair. So that alerted me to that. So the point is that there are oftentimes things that are going on in your body that are being repaired without your knowing, without your feeling anything. Now, eventually you are going to notice things, because just today I just talked to a gentleman who's a fireman, and he got on the patches I believe it was August 19th. And he got on the patches because he needed to have knee replacement surgery. And he fell through the roof in a home in LA because he was a firefighter. And he ended up hurting and damaging his knee. And so then he was told that he was going to have knee replacement surgery. And he didn't want to do that. So he actually found a doctor who did stem cell injections into his knee. And that worked for a while, but then it stopped working and he was back to, it only works for a certain amount of time because you're not signaling the body every day. It's just an injection. And so for the better part of, I think he said 6 or 7 months, his knee was much better. And then slowly but surely it went back to how it was before. And so he got started last August. So August, September, October, November, December, January, February. This is now his 8th month, coming up on his 8th month anniversary on the 19th. And he told me, he goes, my knee's been fine. I went snow skiing. Anybody who has snowed skied, you know that it is, your knees are your shock absorbers when you're skiing. So your knees are always in constant use and tension. The only time they're relaxing is when you're sitting on the lift and your skis are hanging, on the chairlift, right? But as soon as you are skiing, your knees are engaged the entire time. If you have knee problems, you can't ski, bar none. You need it to stop. You need it, they're acting like shock absorbers, and you are constantly, it's a very, intense cardiovascularly and muscularly. You have to have a strong core and you have to have strong legs, and your knees can't have any kind of propensity to giving out. And if you have a knee problem, well, that's a surefire way of completely destroying that knee. And now you could be in terrible agony. And then, of course, there are people who have accidents snow skiing and totally wreck their knee. That's a separate issue aside. But the bottom line, he was able to ski. And he said, and he lives in Colorado, and he goes, you know what? I noticed that, first of all, my friends were telling me, he's like, how come every time I see you, you look younger? He's been retired 3 years. And he goes, well, actually, I do stem cell activation patches that have really helped my knee, because my knee doesn't bother me at all anymore. It's completely fine. And so I thought that was pretty cool. So let's continue on here. So realize and recognize you don't feel anything when you discover your first gray. Wrinkles or freckles or moles or age spots or liver spots or whatever, whatever the matter might be. You don't feel anything after taking your vitamins usually either. And yet you take them because you understand they're good for you as a good foundation for your nutrition to take care of your body. So how long do you do that? As long as you're alive. You might be, and some people are like my friend Bob Campbell. I need to find out exactly how old Bob is. I'm not exactly sure. It's kind of hard to tell because, people rejuvenate, so they look younger. So you're farther off, and I don't even try to estimate people's ages. It's like, it's no point in that. But the bottom line is, when he was at the year mark of being on the patches, let me read here. When he was at the year mark, he was at the same very place as this particular person who was asking me, why keep going if I'm not feeling any effects, right? And in his case, all he had to show for was improved sleep, which a lot of people will go, I'll take the improved sleep because I've had insomnia for 10, 15, 20 years. They're like, that's good enough for me. If the only thing this fixes is making me sleep better, I'll take it. And that's good enough for me. So in his case, it was improved sleep and a little better energy, because he could not play with his grandkids before. And now he could run around in circles where people in the park that were about his age would say, oh my gosh, how is it that you have so much energy and you're able to run around with your grandkids like that? It's like incredible. And he's like, well, he goes, I'm on these stem cell activation patches. So he had better energy, he had improved sleep, and his skin cancer lesions, he was still covered in skin cancer lesions all over, and they had burned them off twice before, and they had grown back again. And so that was still really painful. And his feet were also in a lot of pain because he had a plantar fasciitis. So, and he started off with prostate cancer. So he got rid of his prostate cancer in the first year, even though yes, one of the things that he did notice was that it's funny because at first he didn't notice it. He said it was so subtle. He goes, I went from getting up 5 times a night to 4 times a night to 3 times a night to 2 times a night, that before I knew it, I wasn't getting up at all. But I think it was weeks, maybe a month before I realized, hey, I haven't woken up in the middle of the night. I sleep like a baby. It's been a month, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. Not exactly sure. It just disappeared from his experience, and he kind of forgot about it because he was just feeling better, but he wasn't feeling monumentally better. Because like I said, he still had the lesions, and every time he looked in the mirror, it's a constant reminder, right? Plus, every time he stood up, his feet still hurt. And then in that 23rd month, it says, oh, by the way, he started off with prostate cancer, like I mentioned, skin cancer, plantar fasciitis. His plantar fasciitis was so bad that just a flat sheet could not touch his feet. His feet could not even be on the bed. They had to hang on the side of the bed because his feet were that sensitive. So that's a major remodeling job that his stem cells needed to do inside and outside of the body to repair, restore, and regenerate his body, right? So notice, this is actually a recorded testimonial that I did with Bob. This was in the fall. This was like, I want to say September, October of 2022. So if you want to watch that, you can go to my YouTube channel and you'll see Bob and then prostate, a story of testimony, prostate testimony. You might want to watch this video, become aware how at the 27th month, that's over 2 years, 27th month, that's where everything for him changed. He said that was a drastic change. Today, he's happy and healthy. So what happened with him was he was in the shower and just like he is every day. And then all of a sudden, the scab started just like chips. They literally fell off from the pressure of the shower and they hit the floor. And he noticed that they just started all falling off. By the time he got out of the shower, all of them had fallen off. And he said when he looked in the mirror, his face was just nice and smooth and pink, no scars, no discoloration. Now he's a redhead, so he's I wouldn't even say very fair complected. His redheads oftentimes are just red, their skin is red. And he lives in Florida. So it's obviously sun, it's kind of like California where we have sun the majority of the year, right? And he was a mailman, which is part of how he got the skin cancer because he was in the sun. So for 40 years, right? But the bottom line is that he restored everything in a 27-month period. And he's never stopped wearing the patches since. And he just continues to feel great. He doesn't have any reoccurrence of anything. He's feeling energized. He's vivacious. He travels all over the world now. He's doing phenomenal. So if you want to watch that, you can go to my YouTube channel, like I said, and you can check that out. So I thought that warranted sharing that upfront at the beginning so that people have an idea what to expect when they get started on the patches. We do have a little document. If I can find that real here, I'll see if I can show that with you guys, where it's a little digital form that we send to people that it tells you what to expect in the first 24 hours, the first three to 5 days, the first 3 to 5 weeks, the first 3 to something months. Let me see if I can find it here so I can share that with you guys. If it's still up here. It's called What to Expect. I might just have to pull it up in the search. I want to show it to you guys so that you see. Let me move this out of here. And I also have a YouTube video. It's only like 2-3 minutes long. It's called What to Expect. It's not wanting to pull it up, of course, because Zoom and the combination between Zoom, and it's not 100% Zoom. It's a combination between Zoom and my computer. We have had a lot of glitchiness. So we'll continue on here. I can't find that right now, but we'll go on to sharing about this life-saving technology. And hopefully today we won't have any issues or glitches with our presentation. And we'll move on to that for those who've been waiting to hear about this life-saving technology. So let's talk at the beginning here about the different ways that people talk about these patches, because some people just call them patches. Some people call them phototherapy patches. Some people call them photobiomodulation patches. In a lot of the research study, they're called photobiomodulation patches. I've also seen a few studies where they're called orthomolecular patches. Ortho, having to do with orthopedics, so the musculoskeletal system. So because some of the patches do increase bone density, it increases muscle mass and strength. It helps with the mechanics of you actually being able to, we've literally had people who were either unable to walk, who now walk, people who were using either wheelchairs or, they were paralyzed before that are no longer paralyzed, people who used walkers and canes who now don't need those at all. So the term in a lot of the scientific papers is orthomolecular patches. So that's another term. My 4 descriptors, keywords, if you will, that I'd like to use from the ice wave pain management patches: organic nanotechnology using photobiomodulation and acupuncture points, because the patches all embody those 4 things. They're organic, they're holistic, they're non-transdermal. So we're going to get into that more here in just a second. I need a little bit of water, so give me just a quick second so I can reach over for my water, because I normally have it in front here, but today I don't. Okay, so a little pause. So my water bottle, you might want to take a sip of water too. Okay, so moving on, let's go on to when I grow up. Both Carol and I and Dr. Stacy, we're all on the same page of music. We've decided that when we grow up, we want to grow up to be younger. So when we get older, we want to grow up to be younger, not older. Getting older is for the birds. You can grow a day older and biologically actually be younger. And I don't know if you have choice A is grow older and become older biologically and get infinitely worse, or grow older and become younger biologically and get infinitely better. I say I'm going to choose the better option, option B, instead of option A. Sounds much more pleasant, much more fulfilling. And so welcome to this presentation. I'm Dame Lillian Walker, of course, and our objective here is to look vibrant, feel great, enjoy life as we age. And imagine if you had a magic wand and you were to wave that magic wand and you could have anything you want. And if you could change the trajectory of your aging and your life, what if you could be a younger, more youthful you? What would you do with that? Would you take action on that? Or would you let that window of opportunity close and pass you by? Or do you want to be in the group of people who recognize and realize that window of opportunity and seize the moment and say, I want that? There's a reason why I'm seeing this right here, right now. This is at the right place, at the right time, with the right people. Some way, somehow, I'm going to get started. That's the group that Carolyn and I were in. Dr. Stacy, too. And Allie, she was here in her early 30s, and she lives a great, healthy lifestyle. She's into all things organic and holistic. She loves, her 2 passions are yoga and traveling, doing them independently and at the same time, because every time she travels, she finds yoga centers and finds what the yoga practices are in those countries and so forth. She's in her early 30s, and she started to notice some changes, like she can't stay up all night to party. She is concerned about staying and looking youthful and young. And she's starting to experience and feel the burden of more pressure at work. In fact, a lot of people, as they start to feel the pressure of work and that burden and that push, frustration, struggle, you'll even notice that a lot of them are walking around with their shoulders up here because the tension is so high. It's like, whoa, relax, get those shoulders away from those ears. Let's relax, take a deep breath. That's why we find a lot of people, men and women alike, yogis and yoginis, that will do the practice of yoga and do the meditation to relax your body. But she's definitely feeling more pressure. And some days she's very anxious, but she doesn't like drugs, so she won't take any drugs to allay that. And she's a yogi, a yogini. And that's how she has chosen to handle her stress management and just have a better, healthier, more holistic life, right? And then we have my partner, Dr. Stacy. She's my business partner. She lives with her husband in Florida, Brent, and she's in her late 40s. She's always been, like myself, always into things that are organic and holistic, like Carol also. We've always been very invested and very intrigued and very drawn by alternative medicine, naturopathic medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine, a healthy lifestyle. My gosh. We've got Carol here, who I can't tell you the last time I rode a dirt bike, but this gal, my co-host, she rode a dirt bike in the last week. Imagine that. And she's over 50 and she's riding dirt bikes.
Way over 50.
She's going to say, I didn't say way over 50. She's saying way over 50. I would say she's a wee bit over 50 and she's riding dirt bikes. And my friends and gems, she could not ride a dirt bike a year and a half, 2 years ago, when she first came down with all sorts of different things. We'll talk about that later. But she has got her life back, and now she's literally back on a bike, a dirt bike at that. Incredible. She is the envy of many. And you could be having the same fun, positive results when you get started on this life-saving technology with this itty bitty, littly, I just made up another word, little stem cell activation patch, which is just about the size, just a little bit bigger than a quarter. It's not really big. And Dr. Stacy here, she was in her late 40s. She was doing parasite cleanses, detoxes by the time, when she was 18 years old. So she's done it her whole life. And she loves family. She has 2 kids, her husband. She adores to teach and to travel. She originally started off as a school teacher and then later became a double PhD, one in functional medicine, one in integrative medicine. And so she feels amazing. And she was focused on prevention and longevity as a priority. And she's always learning new ways to stay healthy and just keep her overall vitality and her overall wellness of life. And because she understands the human body, she wanted to optimize and make the best use of the energy that she had in her body so that she could have the longest lifespan with the love of her life, Brent. They're such an adorable couple. Wait till you meet them. Eventually, you will meet them soon. Then we have Carla. Carla, in her mid-50s, loves being active, loves her granddaughter, loves babysitting her. Notice some changes. More aches and pains, more fatigue, more weight gain. So many women. And, this coin goes in either direction. Some women gain weight without changing anything, very frustrating for them. And then there are those of us who we have the opposite, where you lose weight that you can't afford to lose because you're already slender. And, I say you barely have the B's, you barely have a butt, you barely have boobs. So you can't afford to lose anything. And then you do, and you're like, oh, good Lord. Now I look like I'm 11. This is terrible. And it doesn't feel good. Just like it doesn't feel good being overweight, it does not feel good being underweight. Your clothes don't fit right. Your body just is. It's a signal of your body being out of balance, both of them being an issue. But when you put these patches on, things are systemically brought back into balance. And in her case, she also wasn't sleeping well. Huge epidemic problem that we're having here in the United States, not just the United States, it's a global problem. She also was suffering back pain. What a miserable experience that is. I've had horrific back pain because I was hit by a bus. More on that later. And she was looking and feeling older. So when you have back pain and when you're not sleeping well, and either you're gaining or you're losing weight, and you're feeling fatigued, well, of course, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and you're not going to feel good. And you're going to feel like you look older. And in many instances, you actually do look older because since you haven't slept well, your eyes start to get tired and so forth. You kind of have that tired look and your skin gets dry and it's just a miserable thing. So she went to her doctor and her doctor had very few answers for her. He's like, you know what? She's just getting older. You're in your mid-50s. You're getting older. We can run tests. Let's give you some prescription drugs. And she's going, oh my gosh, am I ever going to get relief? Am I ever going to improve? Or is this it? Is it just all downhill from now? Sliding downhill, quickly rolling down. Prospect of that is very depressing, as you can only imagine, because in her 50s, she's probably thinking, she's probably got another 20, 30 years at least in her, right? And so then we've got Ben, and this guy, he's a runner and a hiker. He loves to hike, and very active in his mid-60s. He's looking forward to in a few years, he's going to be traveling because he's going to be retired. He's going to have time and money to be able to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, with whomever he wants. But he's starting to notice, oh no, he's having more aches and pains and aches that he never had before. His libido is down. Now that to a man is very alarming. When a man's libido drops, he's like, oh no, something has got to be seriously wrong. I know men who are fathering children in their 80s. I'm only 60. This is not a good sign. So it is a cause for concern. And it is a sign of something not being right, of course. Not sleeping well either. He has knee pain, has his stamina that's just ebbing, and it's taking him a lot longer to recover when he does, whether his hikes or his runs. And so he's really concerned with heart disease, prescription meds, Side effects, direct effects from that, the potential of knee replacement, which was suggested by his doctor, and just concerned that maybe that dream that he had of retiring and traveling and being very active and mobile, maybe that's slipping away from his reach. Maybe that won't quite be what he'll actually be able to do. So that's very concerning. And then a friend asked Ben, hey, have you heard about this patch? What do you know about stem cells? Has anyone told you about LifeWave? Wow. Well, I'm here to tell you that the thing about stem cells is that stem cells are the master smart cells of the body. When you're conceived in your mother's womb at conception, your mother's ovum unites with your father's sperm. And at conception, now you have 23,688 genes and stem cells that immediately start to form you into an embryo. It has all the information to take you from the first unification of ovum and sperm all the way till you take your last breath when you pass away. And when you're 30%, when you're 30 years old, 50% of them turn off simply because you're 30 years old and it's a process of aging. Those stem cells have not been damaged. They're not destroyed. They don't disappear. They simply go dormant until you apply this stem cell activation patch, which will immediately begin this rapid repair inside of your body. Now, stem cell injections, like I said at the beginning of this broadcast, let's talk about John. John did stem cell injections in his knee, which helped a great deal. But eventually, in time, first of all, it's painful, it's expensive, and it doesn't last a long time because eventually, since it's a one-time injection, then naturally your aging continues to take place because those stem cells dissipate, and then you're back to square one again. So it requires you to continuously go back for those very expensive injections of the knee. So they're expensive, they're painful, they're not always effective. For some people, they don't work at all. For 50%, if it's donor stem cells, 50%, there's a 50 acceptance and rejection rate. It's a 50-50. So let's say you're paying $8,000 for this treatment. That's you're gambling $8,000, 50% chance that your pain will go away and a 50% chance that it won't. And if it's donor stem cells, it's probably leaning more towards the 50%, rejection. It's a little bit of a bigger gamble. If you're using your own stem cells, there's no risk of rejection because they're just pulling blood plasma or they're pulling those stem cells from your fat or from different parts of the body. So you won't have any rejection. But if you're over 60, you only have 10% of your stem cells to begin with. So you're limited in how much repair you'll be able to enjoy, right? So here it talks about how because they're injections, they're invasive, there's possible side effects, and there's no guaranteed results. There's no guaranteed results with the patches either, I might say. We don't make any medical claims. We know that they will work without a shadow of a doubt because all the research studies and everyone who's been on the patches, if you've just been on the patches for 3 weeks and you take a blood test today and take one in 3 weeks, you could see the changes in the 3rd and in the 4th week of being on the patches, which are very significant. In one of the research papers, we saw that just your glutathione levels, the effect on the primary organs of the body are improved by a factor of 91%, that's just in your first month, 4 weeks of wearing the patches. So no one is so special that you can't activate your stem cells or that your stem cells won't work because they're already working. It's just that we're waking up 30%, 33% of them that were previously asleep. We're just turning them back on. That happens the moment this lands on your skin. If I were to take this little patch, and I'm going to put it here on this pericardium point, and we'll talk about that later too, because we apply the patches on acupuncture points to magnify the effects of the patches on the body. So my friends and gems, as you watch this on YouTube, on Facebook, on whatever platform you're watching this on, live or the replay, what if there was an affordable alternative to those injections and those IVs of stem cells? Might you be interested? Would you, could you, should you? That's something that only you can answer. I know that the answer for me, for Carol, for all the people that I've started on the patches, the answer is a resounding yes. And these patches were invented by David Schmidt, who I describe David as, and I personally know David, I see him several times a year. David is a combination of Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, and he has the creativity of Steve Jobs, all like a 3 braided stranded cord, all woven into one. He's been a visionary inventor since he was a child. His uncle also was a prolific inventor. He did over 150 patents and inventions in his lifetime. David has already surpassed that record. He has over 150 patents. For the patches specifically, the 11 that we have, he has over 120 patents that are filed with, and they're global patents. So it's not just patented in the United States, but it's through, worldwide. And we are available in 82 countries. So he's the one who developed these phototherapy energy patches. Originally, he was under contract by the Department of Defense, who, while he was inventing many things for them, they approached him and said, "Hey, David, can you do something, invent something for our Navy SEALs that will enhance their energy?" Because right now we're pumping them with amphetamines, uppers, and energy drinks, and those work great, but super hard on their body. When the effects wear out, they crash, and they're the first line of defense. So we need something that's more effective and that's better for their bodies. Can you come up with something? So being that he's a man of prayer and of meditation, he always starts his days with prayer and meditation. And he really does stay in that calm meditative state in everything and all things that he's doing. And of course, he happened to be, for those of you who are into the more mystical side of life, you know that Mount Shasta is a very spiritual energy vortex here in Northern California. Well, he happened to be in Mount Shasta when he was meditating on, if there was something that I could invent that would enhance the energy of the Navy SEALs, what might that be? When you ask an effective question, you get those downloads, right? And so it was. Abracadabra. He spoke, therefore he created, he received the download, took that packet of information, ran to his lab right away. And at the time it was in San Diego. And he started to test. And lo and behold, that's when Energy Enhancer was invented. And that's this patch. It comes in this envelope. And lo and behold, it's a 2-patch system. You put one on the left, one on the right, 10 on left, white on right. You can put it on multiple areas of the body. David himself, he wears 2 sets of these. He wears a set under his clavicle for the top half of the body. And then he also wears one under each foot, 10 on left, white on right. So he wears 2 sets. This burns 300 calories a day for people who are conscious about calories consumption and about burning calories and about losing weight. Or this is not a weight loss patch, though. This is to enhance your energy. It also moves the energy in your body faster. The patches are designed to work systemically. So if you are out of balance in any system of the body, it will bring you in balance. So like I couldn't afford to lose weight when I got on the patches. So guess what? I didn't lose weight. I gained the weight back and I was now in balance, just like Carol. People who are overweight, doesn't matter if it's 8 pounds or 80 pounds, they lose some weight, when they're on the patches because you're getting in balance. How quick? No one knows until you get started because everybody's body is different, right? So this is the first patch. And so he did that in 2004. And in 2004, also what ended up happening was, that the 9/11 historic event took place. And so the Department of Defense spending changed at that time. And so then he was freed to basically do a deep dive where the only thing he was doing research on, and he just was, I would almost say that he was obsessed, but he was just couldn't get enough of stem cell research and all of his time, money, and resources. And he self-funded all of the research. So he's not manipulated by any agency, any investor, or anything like that. So he was able to do a deep dive, and then he developed a suite of 11 different stem cell activation patches, which we now currently enjoy, and a few other products as well that he has invented. And so we are in our 20th year. This is a 20-year-old technology that originally only the Black Ops Navy SEALs were the only ones who had access to it. And the public got access to it in 2004 when he launched this company. And the rest is kind of history. And so today we're going to talk about the mother stem cell activation patch. For those of you who want to join in tomorrow, Saturday at 2 o'clock, we'll be going over all 5. But basically, this is the mother stem cell activation patch. The patches come in an envelope. This is a special cardboard envelope that's been specially designed to hold 30 patches, and it's called a sleeve. So this is a sleeve of X39, the mother stem cell activation patch. We are in 82 countries. Just recently, about a month ago, we went into South Korea. We have 15 global distribution centers and 8 global offices. All right. So this is a patented phototherapy, as I mentioned before, over 120 global patents. We have, can you imagine jumping through all the hoops? Think of all the expense, all the attorneys, not only here, but in those other countries, that you have to jump through all those hoops to pass all the government regulations and all the different regulatory agencies for each and every country. It's pretty spectacular if you think about that. This is a wearable patch technology. It uses a very specific wavelength of light to activate stem cells without injections. It's using your own body's infrared light. It's safe, no drug. It's holistic, non-transdermal, non-invasive. We have over 80, actually over 90 clinical studies, and you have reduction in pain and inflammation from wearing the patches, and any wounds inside or outside of your body, any lesions, any scar tissue, that gets repaired as a direct result of wearing these patches. So here we have different people that have different conditions. You can see this person on the left here, after just 8 weeks of wearing the patches, you can see how his skin on his face, you can see a rejuvenating effect in just 2 months. The lady here, day 1, day 30, and you can see 4.5 months of wearing the patches. She has a rejuvenated effect as well. This gentleman here on the right, he was working on the rafter and he fell through the ceiling and broke 6 ribs, punctured his lung, was in extreme pain. He was told the minimum expected recovery time would be at, a minimum of 6 weeks. More realistically, it might be 8 to 10 weeks, possibly even up to 12. He was back to work in 3 weeks. And you can see this is, the bruising is from the blood that pools from, the internal bleeding that you have, right? So from June 17th to the 23rd, look at how much better he is in just, look at that. That's 6 days. It's not very long. And here he is on June 30th, almost totally fine. The bruising is almost completely gone. And then, of course, here we have a young child that was 6 years old who severed his finger. It was reattached, and in 8 weeks, is as good as new. Pretty awesome. Here we have this lady who she was experiencing basically the effects of radiation treatments. And in June 6th, this is what she looked like. And you can see that over the course of June 6th to June 30th, just a month. Look at how much better she is in just 1 month's time. Here we have a 77-year-old who had a brain scan. You can see she had a lot of inflammation in the brain with that first scan. The second and third scan shows no presence of any inflammation. All the red is gone, and you can see how she is getting dramatically better with each session. So what if you could get better sleep and more energy? We have this guy over here who, because he had this fast recovery, he was able to get back and climb another 14,000-foot peak, because for 4 years he hadn't been able to do that because of his knee pain. And now his knee is fine. It's been regenerated. And so he was able to get back to his love, which is hiking. So we've got Olympic athletes, professional athletes, collegiate athletes. We have peak performance athletes, regular athletes, people who are just into health and wellness. You don't have to be sick or have anything damaged in your body, although we know that plenty of athletes, as a result of doing their sport, inadvertently, they sometimes get hurt. They're less likely to get hurt on the patches just because they have increased stamina, strength, and endurance. I will say that. In 2019, they're calling the Big Bang is when this was introduced, where the public had access to the mother stem cell activation patches, which is what we're talking about today. And so what if you could activate your stem cells, have greater energy, greater mental clarity, faster wound healing, younger looking, more muscle, bone, tissue, and nerve regeneration, improve sleep? Would you? Could you? Might you want to get started? I would never tell you what to do. I would never tell you, get started today. You got to do this now. No, do whatever you want. It's up to you. But for me, when I first heard about this, I'm like, how quickly can I get my hands on it? I need this. And my clients and my patients need this too. So if anything were possible, what is the one thing would you choose to experience differently with your health? I want you to just do a little scan over your body. Is there something that you might want to repair? Which brings me to the question, how many of you have had general anesthetics because you had 1, 2, 3, or more surgeries? Are you aware that every time you undergo general anesthetics, you actually suffer brain damage? That's right. In the film, the documentary, Quiet Explosions Healing the Brain, if you want to look it up on Netflix or on Prime, I'm proud to say that I was actually part of the team that put that documentary together because I specialize in repatterning the brain. And in that documentary, one of the things that we discovered that was a surprise to all of us was that every time you undergo general anesthetics, you suffer a traumatic brain injury because you get brain damage from the lowering of your vitals. They lower your pulse, your respirations, your blood pressure. And the first thing an anesthesiologist does, there are 4 things they do with the anesthetics. 1, they wipe out your memory, so amnesia. Number 2, they do hypnosis. 3, analgesia, turn off pain receptors. 4, they paralyze you so that you don't move, so that the surgeon can do their very precise work on you while you're under. And in doing so, for every hour that you're under general anesthetics, you suffer a greater brain damage, a greater traumatic brain injury. And so the good news is that once you apply the stem cell activation patches, you can unring the bell of damage. And what I've been seeing is people well under a year are having the majority, if not all, of the symptoms from their TBIs, whether their TBIs were from anesthetics or from anesthetics and a car accident, bike accident, accident of any type. All of their symptoms are disappearing within that year's time. There are exceptions. I'm not making a promise. I'm just reporting to you what I've observed and what people are reporting back to me. Some in as little as 5 months, they're like, all my TBI symptoms are gone. And this is someone who still has 7 titanium screws in her clavicle from her car accident. She's like, oh my gosh, all of my symptoms are gone. She's way happy, as you can only imagine. So what difference might that make for you or for someone you love, someone that you know, a brother, a sister, a father, a mother, a cousin, a coworker, a best friend, a neighbor? So we're going to close here with this. We've got these different Dr. Wholesale packs. Of course, we always recommend that you get back to the person who referred you to this video, to this broadcast, because they can answer any and all your questions. Our group, Dr. Stacy is the head. She's like the person who almost 3 years ago, she didn't know about stem cell activation patches. And when she started on the patches, then her entire life, her entire family's life changed. All of our lives have changed because of her. And in her practice now, there's about 50,000, 55,000. Actually, she just updated that. It's like 65,000 people that are on the patches. There's about 1,000 doctors and holistic care practitioners. And there isn't anything that we can't answer. Most doctors and holistic care practitioners have 1, 2, 3, 4 or more PhDs and MDs, etc. So whatever question you have, I'm pretty confident that we can answer it for you. So these are Dr. Wholesale packs. They don't show up on the website, but I like to put people on a Dr. Wholesale pack because you get to have your cake and eat it too, and you don't have to be on a mandatory auto ship. That way, if you start your auto ship and you travel and you need to buy things in bulk and take it with you, or you need to stop it, you can pause it. You have all the flexibility. Plus, on the Dr. Wholesale packs, you win. Basically, they give you free bonuses with purchase, whereas on the retail side, you don't. So not only are you paying more and you're paying for a membership number, Here, you're only paying for the actual patches themselves, and you get free bonus patches, which is like, I love that. So on a silver pack, you pay for 3 patches. That could be 39, and then the daughter 49, and then let's say Eon. And then you would get a free supportive bonus sleeve of any of the supportive patches, which is almost $100 worth of free product. The gold, which is what most people do, our most popular packs are gold and diamond, because you can get started with the Fantastic Five. Instead of paying $149 each for these two, that's $300 right there. It drops down to $100 a piece. So you're already saving like 30% on this gold pack. And then they give you 3 free bonus. Here it says 1, but they actually give you 3 free bonus sleeves right now, which is pretty awesome. Diamond pack, if you're willing to buy 3 months in advance. And so this works out to $11 a day for you. But then after the second month, from $4.99, it drops down to $3.29 a month. Here, this is where you save like 50%, which is why so many people do that. And you can always upgrade to that at any time. Here, you pay for 3 months, but they give you 2 months additional. That's like 10 to 12 sleeves free. So that's pretty amazing as well. So I'm going to close here. Want to make sure you get back to the person who invited you. My beautiful friend and gem, Carol, do you want to say anything? Do you want to share anything about how you once had, a broken heart, which resulted in very serious AFib that required originally your doctor, your cardiologist said they were going to have to install a, atrial defibrillator for your chest. And want to share a little bit about that before we close here?
Well, when I first, had, that's exactly what happened, and I've been helping. But then all of a sudden, my heart was broken when my husband passed. So all of those symptoms showed up that I'd never had before. And I ended up going to a cardiologist, and he identified these things. And I've always done alternative things all my life. And so I just kept focusing on that aspect as well as listening to him. And then the patches came my way. And as you mentioned earlier, I put that patch on. I put the patches on the chest near the heart. My AFib immediately went away. And then I had the shingles up here, and that pain went away. So I'm kind of sold on these stem cell activation patches. But I also understand stem cells. I've studied that, and I keep looking that up. So they do work, and they're simple. And now I can ride a dirt bike, and I'm 84.
I know. I almost fell out of my chair earlier this week when you said that you went the day before you were riding your dirt bike. I was like, what? Oh my gosh.
Why not? You got to try something new.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, I want to go dirt bike riding. That's like, sounds so awesome. So
well, and I have a 7-acre place to take care of, a garden, a huge garden, and all kinds of stuff to do. And my husband isn't, we always work together. Well, it's me alone. So I get to do it all, and I can do it all.
wow.
And so I'm very happy with that. And I do have a quick question in regards to our talk last night that you did.
Okay.
I would like a copy of that. I can't find that. So
I'll resend. Yeah. I sent it in an email to you. I'll resend it to you.
It didn't come through.
It didn't come through?
No.
Okay. As soon as we're done here, I will go back into my email and I'll send it to you again. Sounds
very good. Thank you. This is wonderful. You're so helpful. See, I want to tell everyone that's listening or going to listen, just stick with Lillian. She is fantastically wonderful. She helps us all. Thank you, Lillian.
All right, Carol, thank you for always being so awesome. And thank you for being so open and sharing of your experience and for being willing to co-host this with me. I absolutely love and adore that. And for those of you who want to learn more, get back to the person who referred you. You know that every day, 2 p.m., Monday through Saturday, I'm always here. And 7 p.m., Monday through Thursday, we do the deep dive where we go over the 5 patches instead of just the mother and the energy enhancer. Okay. Take care, my friends and gems. Mwah. Ciao for now. Bye.
Say Mystic One at Yahoo is my address.
Okay. Say when Mystic Yahoo. Okay. Got it. And if not, I'll call you on my old fashioned phone.